Hello everyone. This is not my usual type of video, but I have made a working Montreal Metro announcement system using an Arduino LCD and this Open-Smart MP3 player. Now there's not much documentation online about the Open-Smart MP3 player. I bought it for cheap from one of my friends. But I did, after a lot of searching on the internet, find one basic library for it that, right, you can see right here, this is my actual program, and this is the actual library for it. I'll send the GitHub link later. And the program itself is fairly simple. We just have a bunch of arrays that take care of the station names, and a couple state variables to control the actual selection. And then we need to set up the input pins for the buttons, set up the LCD, and set up the serial connection to the MP3 player. For this, we go to announcement setup. These two are utility functions for going to the next station or to the previous station. This right here corrects any issues because apparently the SD card this has a specific format for the files. So it doesn't use file names, it just uses numbers like 001, 002. That is the exact format. I don't know why it must be 3 digits, but that's the way it is. But for some reason, despite this numbering, there are occasional issues with the files when, for example, file number 025 might play before file number 023. So to fix these issues, I had to hard code this system of new index, which essentially overrides the standard file index that is selected through here. And I'll talk about a bit later how it actually works, but this is the announcement setup. This just first allows you to set the direction, set the start station, and then set the volume. Obviously, the user interface is in French because it's designed for the Montreal Metro, and it uses the actual announcement files from the Montreal Metro on the blue line. This is the actual announcement code that also has a couple hard-coded corrections that, for some reason, would not work in the generate new index function. I still do not know what exactly causes these issues and what caused the files to play outside of the order that they're meant to play in. So I had no choice but to hard code these values to get it to work. Whenever the train is departing, it will obviously play the door closing chime of the Montreal Metro. It is fairly well known. And when the train is arriving, it will obviously not play that. Here, the new index takes priority over just a default index that is set through the function by pressing the buttons or whenever the next announcement plays. And the loop essentially just takes care of refreshing the LCD and getting inputs from the 3 buttons, which are up, down, and enter. Now I've already uploaded the code to the Arduino. As you can see, it is currently running, but I need to just reset it first, just to show the whole setup process. Okay, so first I can set the direction using either the down button or the up button. Just pressing one button sets one direction, and then press enter, which is the leftmost button, to go to the next part. Now the start station, station de départ, and I can select a station here. This is why there's 2 of each station, is because one is for playing the arrival announcement and the other is for playing the departure announcement. It's kind of coded the same way as the ASNP and Gmod Metrostroy. Works the exact same way. And last, I can set the volume. Default is 5 and it's fairly quiet, but it's not too loud. I'd say once you go over 10, although the maximum volume is 30, so you go over 10, it's gonna start getting quite loud. Obviously, you'd want it louder if you're actually using this as some sort of announcement system, but since I'm just testing it at home, I'm just going to leave it at 10. It's going to beep right now. I've selected station park towards Snowden. Now, to stop it from beeping, I just need to announce. And since it said park arriving, it obviously announced that it had arrived at the station. Very simple. Now we can probably reset it and start the line from the very beginning. So if I press the reset button right now, it should reset itself. Ignore the random components at the back of the breadboard. I don't need them, I just had no place to put them. I just had a bunch of components lying around. So I'm going towards Saint Michel, starting from Snowden, and we're going to put the volume to 10 just so that it's easier to hear on the recording. And this MP3 player, of course, reads the files from an SD card. SD card must be less than 32 gigabytes in size, otherwise it will not read it. Well, otherwise you can just use any standard micro SD card, like the kind that comes from a drone. The one I'm using is from my drone as well, I just said to load audio onto it. So here I can, of course, just select any station. I can just skip them if I want to. Well, I'm not going to skip too far ahead, I'm just going to go a bit closer to the end of the line where we have, this is the second last station. Of course, Saint Michel is the terminus of the blue line of Montreal's Metro, so when I announce, it will say that it's the last station. And the LCD refreshes on a timer when an announcement is actually playing, and the green light that is on the MP3 player shows when audio is actually playing, because sure, it does say announcement over here in French, it says annonce, but after some time it just stops. Sometimes it stops after the announcement is playing, sometimes it stops before because the LCD is on a timer. There's no way to detect from the Arduino how long the audio actually is. Now I can show you some of the hard-coded corrections in effect, because at Jean Talon Station in Montreal, one of the platforms, when going towards Saint Michel Station, opens on the right. That's where the platform is relative to the train, but when going towards Snowden, the platform's on the left. So when you're leaving Fabre, it will announce. As you can see, it just announced that there's a transfer between the blue and orange lines at Jean Talon Station, and that the doors will open on the other side. So just like how it does in real life. And of course I had to shorten the station name so that they could fit. I finally got a good angle of the LCD, by the way. Because the LCD backlight is actually very bright, which is why my phone wasn't catching it that well. Here you can clearly see. Unfortunately, the LCD starts glitching out a bit when it encounters anything other than standard ASCII characters, so it cannot handle French accents. It will start displaying random gibberish instead. However, the random gibberish includes things like Japanese characters, or other accents, just not the one that you wanted. So perhaps there is actually a way to add accents. I've just messed around and couldn't really find the way to do, but as you can see, you can also go back stations, and it works. If I selected somewhere here, Snowden, or rather station right before, I can hit announce.
Prochaine station, Snowden. Correspondance entre les lignes bleues et orange. Station Snowden. Terminus. Merci d'avoir voyagé avec la
And yep, we're just back to the beginning. And this is it. It's just the simple circuit, which I can explain a bit more in detail, because the LCD runs off the I2C protocol, which connects through the analog pins of the Arduino, while the MP3 player itself uses the serial protocol, but it doesn't use the hardware serial pins, which are 0 and 1 on the Arduino, but rather user-defined software serial pins 5 and 6, which is how I've coded it in, because when using the hardware serial and having the Arduino connected over to the USB, it will sometimes refuse to upload the actual program to the Arduino if there's something connected to the hardware serial pins, which is why I had to switch to using the software ones. And while it is a bit slower than using the hardware ones, here I don't think speed matters that much because I'm just playing audio off an SD card. And yeah, that's it. That's basically it for the announcement system. I'll post the code and circuit diagram later if you guys want, and that's it.